Okay, so you have decided that you needed a website, but now what else do you need? You have this great idea, but now you need to get online. What do you need to have a website? In this video, we're going to talk about the basics of building your first website. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm 𝗦𝗲𝗍, and I teach digital marketing to DIYers. So I talk about web design, SEO, social media, pay-per-click, and everything in between. So if you're building a website or working on a blog, maybe you'll consider subscribing to this channel. I hope I can provide you with value, and by subscribing, I'm helping you get farther in your website journey. So just hit this little subscribe button. You can hit the little bell if you want to get a notification, gives me thumbs up, things like that. And of course, at the end of this video, you can just hit punch me in the face. There's a little bit of circle with my face in it. Just hit me in the nose, and you can also subscribe that way. So in today's video, we're talking about what do you need for a website. Okay, so you made the decision that I'm going to build a website, or I'm going to build a blog, but you're new to all this. What are you going to do? How do you do this? So I'm just going to give you the quick rundown, the very basics of what you need to build your first website. Okay, so number one, of course, you need an idea for your website. Now, is this going to be for your business? Is this going to be for your blog? What is your website going to be about? And sometimes that's the hardest step, because you got to think to yourself, well, I want to have 5 different ideas for one website, but maybe you don't want all 5 ideas on that same website. Maybe you want to do one for this. Maybe you want to have 3 websites, and you have one for business, one for your own thoughts about the world, and one for, kitten videos or whatever else you want, So it's one of those things where decide your focus, decide what you want to do, and then go from there. Okay. So when you build a website, first have a purpose. What's your purpose of your website? It's number one. Number 2, think of a great domain name. Now, a domain name is what you're going to be calling your website. Okay. Like my website is named after myself. So 𝗦𝗲𝗍.com. And you might be a consultant yourself, or something where, you're going to be yourname.com, or maybe it's going to be your business. So it's yourwebsite.com is your business name. Okay. And perhaps you decide, nah, I'm going to have a name that nobody's ever heard of before. And that's great. That's going to be your name, and you're going to make it whatever you want it to be. So just think about a domain name of what you're going to tell somebody. Oh, visit me at www.thisismywebsite.com. I like to tell people, imagine you're in an elevator. It's kind of like the elevator pitch kind of scenario. But if somebody says, hey, what do you do? And you start talking, and you say, oh, I don't have a business card, but visit me at mywebsite.com. What do you want to call it? Okay, so after we've decided about a domain name, and if you're kind of hung up on domain name and thinking, oh, how do I figure this out? Don't worry, I have other videos about choosing a domain name. You can look in the description of this video, and you can kind of look at that playlist and that video as well. But after you have the domain name, now we need web hosting, okay? So web hosting is basically servers that store your files, your images, your content. And so when somebody's looking for it, it gives it to them basically, okay? So imagine you're at a restaurant and you sit down and you order the special of the day. Your waiter or waitress, whatever, goes back to the kitchen to get your food, and they bring it out. I visit your website, okay? And I want content from your website. Well, the server brings me the content, that you have. So images, content, contact forms, whatever, and it feeds it to me, okay? So it's basically the same kind of scenario. So you need a good web host. Now, I'm going to create I have other videos about web hosting, and so they are very opinionated, because I'm very strong about web hosting. But just go with somebody you kind of trust, and if you're kind of very new to this, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll give you my honest opinion. Unfortunately, I believe the web hosting industry is very saturated with affiliates, so it's really hard to find an honest, real review. But don't worry, I have you covered. I'll give you some honest opinions, but basically you need to find a web host that will cater to your needs. Okay. So however many email addresses you need, how much traffic you plan to have at one time. Because of course, when you're starting out, if you get 5 visitors the first day for your family, that's great. But what about tomorrow? Okay. So think about how big you're going to grow. Do you need WordPress installed on there? You need an SSL for, any kind of e-commerce or anything else. Just a few things to think about. And again, some of this might be overhead, but we're just kind of running down the basics. Okay, so we have our website purpose, we have a domain name, now we have web hosting, and now we need content or something to build on it. So I always exclusively work with WordPress. Now, back in the day, I used to hand code with Dreamweaver, and then it got hard, so I started using FrontPage, and it was what you see is what you get kind of editor. So it made it a lot easier because I could change something and see what was going on at the same time. And now WordPress has came around, and it makes it so much easier for me, at least, because you can buy a WordPress theme. So WordPress theme is something where somebody's already created a basic skeleton of a website, and you can add in your own pictures, your own content, and make it your own. And it's very inexpensive. So instead of getting a quote of like $3,000 to $7,000 to $10,000 for a website, you can build one for under $100, and that's what makes it very nice. And that's why, being a DIY channel like this, I want to give you all these tips and tricks to kind of just help you advance yourself, especially if you're on a shoestring budget. So it's one of those things where, with WordPress, it's just a platform. Okay, so I kind of tell people it's like having like a motor. Okay, you can put that motor, you can build whatever around it, or a frame of a car, whatever, you can build whatever on top of it. But the motor just kind of helps you go, right? So you can put that same motor in a big old truck or a car or a sports car or whatever. You can style it however you want, but that motor is kind of the essentials to get you going. So with WordPress, it's kind of like the motor of your website. So it's kind of the backbone. It gets you going. So you can paint it whatever color you want. You can add whatever, content you want, but it helps you, just succeed online, I think, really, because it's search engine friendly. Typically it's fast unless you get a really heavy WordPress theme. Again, content for another day, don't worry. But just WordPress just makes it easy. Because for an example, if you don't like the color of your website, you make one change and changes it entire site wide instead of having to go page by page. So it makes it a lot easier. So again, you need some sort of, if you're going to hand code it, somebody else is going to code it, that's completely fine. But with having WordPress makes it where everything's so much easier to work with. Okay, so to back up just a little bit, to sum it up, okay? So we have a purpose for a website. We have a domain name for a website, what we're going to call ourselves. We have web hosting. Okay, we got to put our content out there for the interwebs. And now we have WordPress or some sort of HTML, some sort of website content, something that you're going to build your website on to actually have content to give to people. Okay. And so now basically that's where SEO comes into play. That's where social media. So basically at this point, you have a website. A website is built. It's your website and you're online, really in less than an hour, 30 minutes sometimes, you can already be online. Okay. And so that's how simple it is. So building a website is not very hard at all. It's just the fact of, if you're like me, you start being a perfectionist, you're like, I don't like this color. I don't like that color. You choose something. You're like, well, this website down the street, they have something better looking, so it's very easy to kind of beat yourself up. But basically it's all you need to have a website, and you can have a website up in probably less time than it took you to watch this video. So very simple. So that's it for this video. Very simple. If you have questions, don't hesitate to leave me a question down in the comment section. Maybe you have a question about, building a website, like what WordPress theme do I choose, or WordPress company, or different things like that, or, where to buy a domain name. Whatever your questions are, don't hesitate to ask them, okay? And if you want, an immediate response, head over to my website at 𝗦𝗲𝗍𝗀.com. My name's hard to pronounce, but you can see that in the description, there's a link to my website. You can visit me there. So thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit my face there. Just go ahead and subscribe, please. It matters so much to me. And no matter what, I hope I provide you with value and that you find success online, offline, and in your life. Take care.